Okay, getting close.
All right. Good morning, Acadiana. It's Thursday, April the 8th, 2021, and you're listening to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate. Their team of journalists print the stories important to our community and state, and we're happy to read you some of those stories. You can hear Local News Live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AOC 1, the AOC Community Media channel on YouTube, and on Cypress Street Radio at aocinc.org/CS radio. You can find the print version of these stories and more at theadvocate.com. And we couldn't bring you this community service without the generosity of our volunteer news readers. Today, we're joined by Robert Richard. Welcome to Local News Live. Thank you, Robert, for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here, and we'll begin reading today's news.
All right, thank you.
The Acadiana news. Housing market hot in the region. Some buyers having to win bidding wars. By Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. The flood of buyers unleashed on the Acadiana real estate market, along with the dwindling inventory, has resulted in actual bidding wars for properties. With historically low pandemic-era interest rates still pushing more people to buy a home, some homes are getting snatched up quickly or after a competitive bidding process between prospective buyers. Sales data from March indicates homes are still being sold at a record-breaking pace as of the 653 homes sold set a record regardless of month, according to data from Bill Baquet of Market Scope Consulting. In this market, if the asking price is favorable, said Michael Carr of Dream Home Realty, the house will get multiple offers quickly. Everything I've listed this year and the last 6 months of last year have all been in bidding wars, Carr said. All of them. I attribute that definitely to this market. All multiple offers anywhere from 2 on up to as many as 6, and all have sold for at least the asking price or above ask price. A Dennis and Brian Shipley of Lafayette watched the Sawgrass Park home they put on the market get into a bidding war after they found a larger house to buy. The newly married couple planned to just pay 2 mortgages for a little while until they could sell their current home, which needed repairs to the roof after last year's hurricane season. Yet, that whole 2 mortgage thing never came to pass. The roof was repaired. Edina Shipley snapped photos with her smartphone and quickly put the ad for the house online. Buyers, she said, responded. Sure enough, on day 1, we had 3 families come in and 3 families bid, Shipley said. We had 2 full offers. We had to go back to them and say, we have multiple offers. Do your best. The bidding war followed, and that 1,600 square foot house her husband bought in 2018 for $202,500 ended up selling for $229,000. It sold for more than we were expecting, she said. Michael Carr was telling us $225,000 to $230,000. And Brian and I were saying, if we get $215,000, we'll be happy. The average sale price has surged along with the number of homes sold, due simply to the demand, data shows. The average sale price so far this year is up nearly 15% from a year ago to just under $225,000. In Lafayette Parish, it's up nearly 10% to $252,000. Total dollar volume in March from all home sales finished just under $150 million, the highest on record. I've been involved with the real estate industry for 48 years, and 40 of those years have been in our local market, Baquet wrote in his monthly report. I have never seen a market as strong as what we have today. Demographically, there remains an enormous reservoir of buyers who make up the post-baby boom alphabet generations X, Y, and Z, that appear to have decided that home ownership is the way to go. The inventory had a spike in homes on the market in March, which could spell some relief for buyers, but it may not be enough to meet the demand, Bakke said. The region had 708 homes hit the market last month, up from 14% from a year ago, and the highest on record dating back to at least 2019. Of that total, 474 were in the Lafayette parish. That puts the year total at 1,025 homes sold in the parish to just 1,238 homes listed, the slimmest ratio of homes sold to homes listed on the record. The region has 1.9 months of supply on hand. In Lafayette Parish, it's 1.5 months. Both are down considerably from last year, Bakke noted. Existing homes have sold on average 26 days faster than a year ago, while newly constructed homes have sold 57 days faster, he noted. We have an inventory shortage that's really driving the market, Carr said. Last year, we were looking at 2,400 to 2,600 homes on the market. This spring, we have 1,070. That's huge. That's a big factor when they're going to look for a home. Maybe the only home, and the buyers have to be in a position to buy quickly and efficiently. The clean offers are winning the wars. Researchers assess toll from St. Landry tornado by Ken Stickney, staff writer. Weather researchers from Norman, Oklahoma on Monday were using drones to comb the St. Landry Parish area near the site of a Saturday tornado that claimed life and destroyed or damaged at least 16 homes. Meanwhile, occupants of most of the residences had found shelter, at least temporarily, by Monday. Housing was being sought for one resident, an elderly man whose home was destroyed, said Van Reed, director of the St. Landry Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. In addition to the damage to homes, a portion of a nearby levee and a nearby convenience store also sustained damage from the tornado, Reed said. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was expected to travel to St. Landry to make inspections on the levee. And an owl, apparently injured in the storm, was recovered in the affected area and treated locally. Reed said he found the bird near a home where he had stopped to check for injured residents. The owl had about a 50% chance of surviving after treatment, said Letitia Lobby of Acadiana Wildlife Education and Rehabilitation, who retrieved and treated the bird Saturday. Roger Erickson of the National Weather Service in Lake Charles said researchers connected to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the University of Oklahoma were studying vegetation to better determine the tornado's path. It was a bad storm. The good news is the research side of the investigation. They're going over fields, wooded areas, trying to determine how wide the storm was and in which direction it moved, Erickson said. He said research results, if helpful, may eventually filter back to the forecasters in the field to help predict or warn about storms. The tornado was a typical one for this time of year, he said. March, April, and May are busy tornado months. Tornadoes from the same system that spun through St. Landry from the west also headed east toward Florida and northeast toward Arkansas. The tornado touched down at 2:06 a.m. Saturday on Bolden Road in St. Landry Parish, destroying several homes. The National Weather Service report said on social media. One single-wide mobile home that was tied down rolled numerous times for over 320 yards. One man died in this home. A double-wide mobile home next door rolled for about 100 yards. 2 people were seriously injured. A third home on pilings slid over 50 yards with 5 people inside who received cuts and bruises. In addition to the lone fatality, 2 people were transported to hospitals outside St. Landry Parish, Reed said. Both victims were stable Monday. In addition, trees fell, power lines snapped, and some barns and outbuildings were destroyed by the tornado, which was rated as an EF3 with winds of 140 miles per hour. The storm's path was 8.7 miles, and the tornado's width was about 200 yards. Erickson said a warning issued by the Weather Service at 1:42 a.m., a heads up that sounded on people's phones and expired at 2:15 a.m. He said neighbors in the affected area reported hearing the warnings. A second warning was issued at 2:11 a.m. and lasted well beyond the tornado's time on the ground, which ended at 2:18 a.m. Reed, who was still sifting through ruins in the rural area Monday, said 4 homes were destroyed, 3 had major damage, and 3 had minor damage. He said 3 mobile homes were destroyed and 3 had major damage, but those totals may increase, he said. 1 donkey was killed in the storm and was buried Saturday. 1 goat was killed, trapped under a house. Some cattle may have died, he said. Labby said she operates Acadiana Wildlife Education and Rehabilitation from her 2-bedroom home on 5 acres in the Youngsville area. She funds the operation herself with occasional donations and keeps as many as 24 birds of prey at a time for rehabilitation and other animals. She said she has overseen the rescue and rehab operation for more than 40 years. I-49 project input sought. Public meetings set throughout April. By Claire Taylor, staff writer. Residents of neighborhoods close to the proposed Lafayette Interstate 49 connector are invited to neighborhood meetings with planners in April to provide input into design details of the project, such as the type of piers that will support the elevated structure. The Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and Lafayette Connector partners kick off the series of meetings from 3 to 5 p.m. Tuesday at the Fightingville Fresh Farmers Market at 315 West Simcoe Street. They will be soliciting input from residents of the LaPlace and Fightingville neighborhoods and members of townfolk. The meetings are designed for residents who live in neighborhoods alongside the proposed interstate to provide input and address any questions, comments, or concerns you may have about the I-49 Lafayette Connector project, according to the project website at https://LafayetteConnector.com. Others in the community will have an opportunity to discuss the connector project at public workshops over the summer. The April neighborhood meetings include LaPlace, Fightingville, and Townfolk at 3 to 5 p.m. Tuesday. Fightingville Fresh Farmers Market, noon to 3 p.m. Saturday. At the Fightingville Fresh Farmers Market. Macomb Vise, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Tuesday at the Lafayette Public Library main branch downtown. 5 to 6 p.m. Wednesday, the Lafayette Public Library at the main branch downtown. 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Tuesday at the Lafayette Public Library, the main branch downtown. 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday, the Lafayette Public Library, main branch downtown. The Calais Saloon Road area, 11 a.m. to noon on Thursday. Vermilionville Performance Center, 300 Fisher Road, noon to 1 p.m. Thursday. The Freetown, Puerto Rico area, 10:30 a.m. to noon on April 20th, the Rosa Parks Transportation Center, 101 Jefferson Street. 4:30 to 6 p.m. April 21st at the Rosa Parks Transportation Center, 101 Jefferson Street. And for the Willow Street area, 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. April 24th, Destiny of Faith Church at 409 Patterson Street. Anyone wishing to attend either in person or online is required to sign up at https://LafajetteConnector.com/neighborhood-meeting-sign-up/ and must provide an email and physical address. In-person attendance is limited because of social distancing constraints associated with COVID-19. The proposed Lafayette I-49 connector is designed as a 5-mile, 6-lane, partially elevated freeway that will run from near the Lafayette Regional Airport to the intersection of I-49 and Interstate 10, but excluding any work on that intersection. Much of the route selected follows the existing Evangeline Thruway, except around downtown Lafayette. Public service announcement. United Way of Acadiana is offering free tax preparation. The United Way of Acadiana is offering free tax preparation services through its Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, VITA, program. The program provides low and moderate income individuals and families with free, reliable assistance with filing federal tax returns. There are 12 filing locations participating this year throughout the Acadiana region. Most locations are by appointment only due to the COVID-19 safety restrictions. Visit unitedwayofacadiana.org/VITA for site locations, opening dates, and to make appointments. For additional resources, visit myfreetaxes.com and learn more about alternate free or low-cost filing options currently available. The VITA program is just one way the United Way of Acadiana is working to help individuals and families achieve and maintain financial stability. Learn about additional programs by visiting unitedwayofacadiana.org. Continuing with Acadiana news, crime blotter from Advocate staff reports. Pedestrian killed Sunday on Iberia Parish Highway. A pedestrian was killed Sunday night on Louisiana 14 in Iberia Parish, according to the Louisiana State Police. Troopers responded to a fatal crash involving a pedestrian just before 9 p.m. near Old LA 25. Donald J. Derwant, 56, of New Iberia, was killed in the crash, police said. A preliminary investigation revealed Derwant was walking west in the westbound lane of LA 14 when he was struck by a westbound 2020 Honda Civic. Derwant was pronounced dead at the scene by the Iberia Parish Coroner's Office. Impairment on part of Derwant is unknown, with a standard toxicology sample was taken for analysis. The driver of the Civic submitted a breath sample and was not impaired at the time of the crash. She was properly restrained and suffered no injuries. The crash remains under investigation. A majority of pedestrian fatalities, nearly 70%, occur at night. Troopers urge pedestrians to maintain heightened awareness while walking near the road. Simple precautions such as wearing reflective materials, avoiding distractions, not walking too close to the roadway, and walking against the flow of traffic could prevent pedestrian-related crashes. Troop I has investigated 21 fatal crashes, resulting in 26 deaths in 2021. A woman was arrested after failing to seek help. A Kaplan woman was arrested Sunday after she failed to alert first responders to an overdose that resulted in a person's death, police said. April Leger was arrested and booked into the Kaplan City Jail on April 11th on charges of failure to seek assistance, resulting in death occurring and negligent homicide, according to a statement from Kaplan Police. The incident occurred Sunday morning at the Bellshire Apartments in Kaplan, police said. Police Chief Josh Hardy told KETC-TV that a person in Leger's apartment overdosed on illegal drugs and passed out. Instead of seeking assistance, police said Leger put a pillow under the person's head and left him. Leger allegedly told police that she believed the person had fallen on the floor and was not moving because he had passed out from drugs. That person, police said, actually died from an overdose. Grief energizes a Lafayette runner. The woman completes the 223-mile event after losing her father to COVID-19 by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Like so many, Fawn Viator Hernandez found herself overwhelmed early into the pandemic as she adapted to a new normal that included a hefty workload. The vice president of operations at the Boys and Girls Club of Acadiana decided to set a lofty personal goal to give herself something to channel her energy, running the 223-mile Ouachita Trail. It would be the first known attempt for a woman. Then, about 6 months into training, her father died suddenly from complications of the coronavirus. That kind of halted me for a second, said the 36-year-old. This was a really big endeavor that's going to require everything I have to get through it. I just had to have an honest conversation with myself. Do I have that to give right now? David Viator died in January at the age of 59, about a week after being admitted to the hospital for COVID-19. As Hernandez worked through her complicated emotions in the weeks that followed, she ultimately realized she could continue to pursue the goals she had set for herself in honor of her dad, who had modeled how to overcome hardships. His death was really a hard death, and so I was almost bitter about the hardships he had had in his life, Hernandez said, noting that her perspective changed when someone mentioned the resiliency her dad had to overcome many of the hardships he faced. It really struck a chord with me, and suddenly it was like, I'm doing this run. I have the extra fire to do it. This will be a run about resiliency. It will be about honoring my dad because a lot of the skill sets or characteristics I needed to even get to the start line or even dream that I could go on to do something like this were really instilled in me by him. Hernandez wouldn't do it alone. She was already working with a trainer to ensure she would be prepared for the overwhelming physical tests, and she reached out to friends and loved ones for help during the run itself so she wouldn't have to run solo the entire time. Hernandez, who lost her 50-year-old mother earlier to cancer, knew the only way to cope with grief was to move through it. She also knew it was okay to ask for help. The only way to get through grief is through it, Hernandez said. That became one of the mantras I'd repeat to myself on the trail. With grief, it's really easy sometimes for people to just skirt it or belittle the experience that they're having because they feel like it shouldn't be so hard. You're not healing if you're pushing it away or distracting yourself from it. There's so much growth opportunity to learn about yourself during the healing process. Hernandez ran the first 30 miles alone. Afterward, she always had someone at her side, whether it was a friend who flew in from Rhode Island, running friends from back home, or her husband who completed the final leg of the race at her side. She started the journey about 8 a.m. March 28th at the Thelema State Park in Oklahoma and completed the run at about 6:15 a.m. April 1st at Pinnacle Mountain State Park in Arkansas. She would operate on fewer than 4 hours of sleep each night, stopping only occasionally to eat, drink, use the bathroom, or shower along the way. It was one of those mind over matter experiences that is difficult to describe. About 98% of the time I was running, I really wanted to be sitting down, Hernandez said. In a very physical way, if you sit, you're just delaying the inevitable, right? And in a mental way, I could just focus on how much I was hurting, how hard the effort was, all of those things. Or I could be curious about what was going on around me, what I was seeing, the experience I was having. While she was pursuing a personal goal, Hernandez involved the children at the Boys and Girls Club of Acadiana through running challenges. The original goal was for the members of the clubs to run a combined 223 miles to match what Hernandez was running. They blew that goal out of the water by running more than 650 miles in 4 weeks. They were so excited, Hernandez said. They asked where I was when they were at the club. I was just so blown away. They were eating healthier, drinking more water. That was a huge, unexpected thing. I was excited to get them involved. In state news, the 2021 legislative opening day. A new day is dawning. Edwards highlights priorities in speech capping first day of the legislative session by Blake Patterson, staff writer. Governor John Bel Edwards called on lawmakers to address the inequities exposed by the coronavirus pandemic by passing a rash of priorities ranging from a minimum wage hike to pay raises for teachers in a speech Monday, capping off the first day of Louisiana's regular legislative session. Speaking from a makeshift stage just beyond the end zone at Southern University's A.W. Mumford Stadium, Edwards cautioned that the pandemic is far from over and urged the public to avail themselves of one of 3 extremely safe vaccines, even as the demand for the life-saving injection has lagged in recent weeks. Today, these bleachers are bare. One day soon, if more people continue to get vaccinated and we hold down the transmission of the virus, we're going to fill this stadium once again, Edwards said, singling Southern out for administering 1,000 doses of the vaccine last weekend. 1 year ago, just as Edwards was preparing to kick off the legislative session with the State of the State address before a crowd of lawmakers in the House chamber, as is tradition, Louisiana reported its first case of the coronavirus. Since then, COVID-19 has claimed the lives of nearly 10,000 Louisiana residents. Despite these dark and cloudy days of the past 13 months, Edwards noted that there's ample reason for hope. Louisiana recently expanded vaccine eligibility to anyone 16 years and older. A vaccine hotline aimed at helping residents sign up for appointments launched last week, and the federal government announced last week that it was opening a mass vaccination site at the Bon Carré Mall in Baton Rouge. Over 28% of Louisiana residents, or more than 1.3 million people, have received at least one dose of the vaccine. And Edwards said, a new day is dawning with every shot in every arm. Edwards said he was eager to move beyond the pandemic for Mardi Gras parades to roll again and festivals to resume, but urged lawmakers not to overlook the health inequities exposed by the coronavirus pandemic in the state's low-income and minority communities. If we do not address these issues now, we're doing a great disservice to people who have already suffered so much, Edwards said. I don't want post-pandemic Louisiana to look completely like a pre-pandemic Louisiana, nor should it, because we can do better. Harkening back to the first-term policy milestone, Edwards said he couldn't imagine how many more people would have died this past year if not for Medicaid expansion. Joined by several essential workers, including a chef who spent time during the past year cooking for homeless people, Edwards also called on lawmakers to raise the minimum wage, calling the current floor of $7.25 woefully inadequate. We call essential workers heroes for continuing to work through this pandemic, yet even when they work full time, we don't pay them enough to cover essential needs, Edwards said. As always, crafting a spending plan for the financial year that begins July 1st is at the top of the agenda for lawmakers, and Edwards opened negotiations in February with the $36.6 billion spending proposal, a rosier than expected outlook thanks to massive amounts of relief from 3 rounds of federal aid. Edwards once again said he'd support a tax overhaul if the package remains revenue neutral, where the state treasury doesn't lose the current level of revenue. Showing what North Carolina did over the course of this last decade is a huge learning tool for them, as here's how we did it, said Sain, who is also a national chairman for the Acadiana Legislative Exchange Council, a conservative group that creates model legislation for legislatures around the country. Today in History by the Associated Press. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, the 103rd day of 2021. There are 262 days left in the year. Today's highlight in history: on April 13th, 1970, Apollo 13, 4/5 of the way to the moon, was crippled when a tank containing liquid oxygen burst. The astronauts managed to return safely. On this date, in 1742, Messiah, the Oratio by George Frederick Handel, featuring the Hallelujah Chorus, had its first public performance in Dublin, Ireland. In 1861, at the start of the Civil War, Fort Sumter in South Carolina fell to Confederate forces. In 1964, Sidney Poitier became the first Black performer in a leading role to win an Academy Award for his performance in Lilies of the Field. In 1992, the Great Chicago Flood took place as the city's century-old tunnel system and adjacent basements filled with water from the Chicago River. In 1997, Tiger Woods became the youngest person to win the Masters tournament and the first player of partly African-American heritage to claim a golf title. In 1999, right to die advocate Jack Kevorkian was sentenced in Pontiac, Michigan to 10 to 25 years in prison for second-degree murder in the lethal injection of a Louisiana Garrick's disease patient. Kevorkian ended up serving 8 years. In 2005, a defiant Eric Rudolph pleaded guilty to carrying out the deadly bombing at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics and 3 other attacks in back-to-back court appearances in Birmingham, Alabama, and Atlanta. In 2015, a federal judge in Washington sentenced former Blackwater security guard Nicholas Slayton to life in prison and 3 others to 30-year terms for their role in a 2007 shooting in Baghdad's Nasser Square that killed 14 Iraqi civilians and wounded 17 others. 10 years ago, a federal judge in San Francisco convicted baseball slugger Barry Bonds of a single charge of obstruction of justice, but failed to reach a verdict on 3 counts at the heart of allegations that he knowingly used steroids and human growth hormones and lied to a grand jury about it. Bond's conviction for obstruction was ultimately overturned. 5 years ago, a task force issued a report saying that Chicago police had no regard for the sanctity of life when it came to people of color. A judge in Fort Worth, Texas, ordered 19-year-old Ethan Couch, who used an affluenza defense in a fatal drunk driving wreck, to serve nearly 2 years in prison. 1 year ago, President Donald Trump claimed total authority to decide how and when to reopen the economy after weeks of tough social distancing guidelines. Governors from both parties quickly pointed out that they had primary responsibility for public safety in their states. Today's birthdays: former Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell, Republican of Colorado, is 88. Actor Edward Fox is 84. Actor Paul Sorvino is 82. Rhythm and blues singer Lester Chambers is 91. Movie TV composer Bill Conti is 79. Rock musician Jack Cassidy is 77. Actor Tony Dow is 76. Singer Al Green is 75. Actor Ron Perlman is 71. Actor William Sadler is 71. Singer Peebo Bryson is 70. Bandleader rock musician Max Weinberg is 70. Bluegrass singer-musician Sam Bush is 79. Rock musician Jimmy Destry is 67. Comedian Gary Kroger is 64. Actor Sandra Santiago is 64. Senator Bob Casey Jr., Democrat of Pennsylvania, is 61. Chess Grandmaster Gary Kasparov is 58. Actress Paige Hanna is 57. Actor-comedian Carolyn Rhea is 57. Rock musician Mark Ford is 55. Reggae singer Capleton is 54. Actor Ricky Schroeder is 51. Rock singer Aaron Lewis of Stan is 49. Actor Bokeem Woodbine is 48. Singer Lou Bega is 46. Actor-producer Glenn Howerton is 45. Actor Kyle Howard is 43. And actor Kelly Giddish is 41. Actor Courtney Peldon is 40. Today's zodiac: Scorpio, October 24th to November 23rd. Emotions will surface if someone rejects your ideas or opinions. Look at every angle of a tricky situation. An innovative approach will help things turn in your favor. Sagittarius, November 23rd to December 21st. Tidy up loose ends, focus on your surroundings, and do what's necessary to make your space user-friendly. Use what you already have to initiate positive domestic or professional changes. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. Listen to your friends and relatives, but do what's best for you. Taking care of your responsibilities will help you put your mind at ease and deter others from interfering. Aquarius, January 20th to February 19th. Refuse to let your emotions wreak havoc with your financial well-being. Unnecessary spending will not make you feel better. Use your intelligence and make sensible improvements. Pisces, February 20th to March 20th. An unexpected change will turn out to be what's best for you. Don't get discouraged. Be an entrepreneur and you will flourish. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. A situation will not be what it appears. Don't jump to conclusions or lose sight of your goal. Do your own thing and focus on success, peace of mind, and happiness. Taurus, April 20th to May 20th. Impulse is the enemy. Plan your actions and dedicate time to reaching your objective. Put your energy where it counts, and your income will increase. Don't let an outsider take charge. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. Gather information before you make a move or spend money unnecessarily. Expect someone who has ulterior motives to mislead you. Think for yourself and take action based on facts. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. You'll get the help you want, but before you accept it, consider what you may owe in return. Don't put yourself in a precarious position regardless of the temptation. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. Stop fretting over what others are doing. Consider what you want and figure out a way to follow a path that satisfies your needs. Discipline will bring opportunity and help you excel. Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd. Learn from experience, then proceed with confidence. Knowing what you want will make it easier for you to put whatever stands in your way aside so that you can excel. Don't lose faith. Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. Pay more attention to what's going on around you. Seek out information that will help you decipher who and what's best for you. An equitable partnership looks promising. Romance is in the stars. The horoscope is an entertainment feature, not based on scientific fact. In state news continued, a Port Allen officer arrested after stun gunning a handcuffed man, by Yosef Rodad, staff writer. A Port Allen police officer stunned a 67-year-old man with a stun gun as the man screamed for help while handcuffed in the backseat of a police vehicle during an arrest last month, according to a probable cause affidavit accusing the officer of felony battery and malfeasance in office. The incident happened on March 29th in the early morning as Officer Nolan Dehan III was detaining a man in the 1100 block of Avenue C, according to a report obtained Monday by the Advocate. Officers responded after receiving a call about a man breaking windows at a home, the report alleges. Police said the man suspected of the disturbance surrendered to officers upon their arrival. After bringing the man to a police vehicle, the report states other officers heard him call for help moments later. Scream again, go ahead, scream, Dehan allegedly said, before pressing his stun gun into the man's body and activating it twice in 10 seconds while the man sat in the vehicle's back seat. He then told the man, "You understand me?" before shutting the door, the report states. Though the report doesn't describe the severity of the man's injuries, it said the device sent 50,000 volts of electricity into his body and that he was brought to a hospital after the encounter. A West Baton Rouge internal affairs detective wrote in the report that the man hadn't refused any of Dehan's commands, nor did he become physically combative with any officers at the scene. He wrote that the man initially had trouble getting into the vehicle because of his height. Port Allen Police Chief Corey Hicks said Monday that the man filed a complaint after the encounter, which led to the investigation. He said in a statement he has zero tolerance policy for such incidents. Dehan was issued a summons for 1 count each of aggravated battery and malfeasance in office. He remains on leave. The encounter was captured on an officer's body camera, though it hasn't been publicly released. District Attorney Tony Clatton called the footage highly disturbing and said he plans to bring the case before a grand jury soon. Dehan was rehired by the department in February, but it is unclear how long he had served under former police chief Esdras Brown's administration. He was booked into the West Baton Rouge Parish Jail, but an online roster didn't list him as an inmate Monday afternoon. In New Orleans, autopsy says fatal shots came from deputies. Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office says a man killed in a standoff pointed gun at police, by Ramon Antonio Vargas, staff writer. A Metairie man was shot to death by Jefferson Parish deputies this weekend, had admitted to sexually abusing a child, threatened to kill his girlfriend, and pointed a gun at deputies, according to the statement from authorities Monday. The statement identified the slain man as 30-year-old Joshua Mitchell and provided the most complete account yet of the standoff that unfolded in the 6600 block of Park Manor Drive over several hours Saturday evening. According to the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, deputies encountered Mitchell after his girlfriend called 911 about 6:40 p.m. and reported that he admitted to molesting a child and threatened to kill her. The agency didn't elaborate on the child's relationship to Mitchell or the girlfriend, who purportedly warned deputies that her boyfriend was armed and previously had confrontations with law enforcement. Deputies found Mitchell in the apartment he shared with his girlfriend, and they were trying to convince him to come out when he emerged and pointed a gun at a patrolman. That deputy fired a gun at Mitchell, who retreated into the apartment, according to the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office statement. The SWAT team and a crisis negotiator then arrived at the scene, and Mitchell again came out and pointed a gun at one of the SWAT officers. That deputy fired at Mitchell, who again sought cover inside the apartment. The SWAT team then forced its way into the apartment, where it found Mitchell dead from multiple bullet wounds and recovered a gun near his body. The result of an autopsy on Monday revealed that all of the bullet wounds were caused by the deputies, the sheriff's officer said. A family member of Mitchell declined comment on the sheriff's office statement when contacted by telephone Monday afternoon. In sports, UL softball completes road sweep of Troy. Cajuns now alone atop the Sun Belt standings. The Sun Belt Conference standings underwent quite a facelift over the weekend, and as usual, it was the UL Raging Cajuns rising to the top again. The number 14 Raging Cajuns made it 17 straight wins Monday with a dominating 10-2 run rule road win over Troy to wrap up the weekend sweep. The Cajuns are now 32-6 overall and 14-1 in league play, while Troy dropped to 26-9 overall and 10-3 in Sun Belt play. Moreover, the win earned UL a 10-0 road trip after the Cajuns had already secured the program's 61st straight Sun Belt Series win dating back to March of 2013. When the weekend began, both Troy and Texas State were undefeated in league play, with the Cajuns right behind them with one loss. While UL swept Troy, South Alabama went on the road and swept number 25 ranked Texas State to vault UL into sole possession of first place in the Sun Belt standings. Texas State begins a three-game series against UL at Lanson Park on Friday. Summer Ellison was the winning pitcher in Monday's win to run her season record to 12-4. In 5 innings, Ellison allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, 1 walk, and struck out 3. Kendra Lamb pitched a perfect 6th with 1 strikeout to secure the run rule victory. At the plate, the Cajuns struck quickly with 4 runs in the first inning and never looked back. Julie Rawls got the scoring underway with the RBI single, but that was quickly followed by RBI doubles from Justice Mills and Caitlin Alderlink. Carly Heath added an RBI single for the 4-run cushion. Rawls finished the game 3 for 4 with a double and 3 RBIs, followed by Mills at 2 for 4 with 2 doubles and an RBI. Alderlink was 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI, while Heath was 2 for 2 with an RBI double. Bailey Curry also continued her hot stretch of late by going 1 for 2 with 3 RBIs. Curry's sacrifice fly accounted for a run in the 4th, but the 5-run 6th led to a game ending sooner than expected. Curry had a 2-run single in that frame, followed by a Sierra Bryan RBI single and a 2-run single from Rawls. LSU's offense is the key in the series win at Kentucky. Evident improvements made throughout the lineup by Wilson Alexander, staff writer. Every time Gavin Dugas answered a question about the state of LSU's team during its 1-8 start to Southeastern Conference play, the junior left fielder maintained his belief LSU had a talented baseball team He always said the Tigers weren't as far from success as their record suggested. So when LSU clinched its series against Kentucky last Saturday night, and Dugas was asked if he felt validated, he said, absolutely. We're really a good team, Dugas said, chuckling. I can't reiterate how many times I've said it, how many times I will say it. I stand by it. I trust these guys. I believe in these guys. I love these guys. LSU began to finally turn around against Kentucky. After back-to-back sweeps, the Tigers won a conference series for the first time this season. The two wins moved LSU from last place in the SEC West into a tie for fifth place with Texas A&M. The Tigers have a chance to climb further up the standings this week with the series against number 5 South Carolina after their game Tuesday night versus Grambling. More than anything, the series showed sudden offensive improvement throughout the lineup. For most of the SEC schedule, LSU had 4 players who were consistently produced, making it difficult to mount rallies or hit in clutch situations. As a result, the Tigers lost 5 games by 3 runs or less. Statistically, LSU ranked near the bottom of the SEC in several offensive categories during conference play. But against Kentucky, LSU found another 4 reliable players: freshman shortstop Jordan Thompson, junior designated hitter Cade Beloso, sophomore catcher Hayden Travinski, and junior center fielder Giovanni DiGamico, who had missed most of the season with a hamstring strain, to balance their lineup. Now, all of a sudden, you feel pretty good about at least 8 spots in your order, Coach Paul Maneri said. That gives you a formidable lineup, and I think we showed that. Facing a starter Friday night who carried a 1.91 ERA into the series, the Tigers used an aggressive approach to record 17 hits, exceeding the 16 they had the entire weekend against Vanderbilt. The next day, LSU scored 8 runs. Even in its 13-4 loss Sunday, LSU had 9 hits, finishing the series with 37 total. I think hitting coach Eddie Smith has done a really good job of working with the guys and staying the course, Maneri said. The turnaround wouldn't have happened without Thompson, Beloso, DiGamico, and Travinski having their best weekends of the season. Travinski, who was slowed earlier this season by an elbow injury and didn't have a hit in conference play, went 2 for 7 with 4 RBIs, tiring late in the game after he started the first 2 games. DiGamico finished 4 for 10. Perhaps the most encouraging performance came from Beloso and Thompson. Beloso had struggled this year after 2 straight productive seasons, prompting LSU to tweak his swing a few weeks ago. Maneri thought Beloso had been on the verge of turning it around for a couple of weeks. He batted .500 with 7 RBIs, raising his average from .209 to .240 in one weekend. Thompson, a freshman who had steadily improved throughout the season as the starting shortstop, experienced a breakthrough. Thompson hit .667, 8 for 12, with a crucial RBI single in the 9th inning Saturday. A natural pull hitter, he also shot multiple balls into the opposite field. Thompson received Co-SEC Freshman of the Week for the second time. Now, all of a sudden, you feel like you've got good balance in your lineup, and the pitcher feels like he has to work really hard to get through that lineup, Maneri said. It showed. This has been Local News Live for April 13th, 2021. I've been your reader, Robert Richard. Join us at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on AOC 1, Cypress Street Radio, or the AOC Community Media channel on YouTube. You can read these stories and more at theadvocate.com and find out how to volunteer and more at aocinc.org. Have a good day.